I'm Chris Pickle. I'm sitting here at my workbench and I'm gonna do a video on the new 3-string G bass from CB Gitty. I've never built a guitar from a kit before. So first things first, the instruction booklet, which will take me step by step through all of this. We have the fretboard, 30-inch scale with a 0 fret up here. The neck, it's a solid piece of maple with a, what looks like anyway, a 15-degree scarf joint. Oh, this will be the heel. We have box parts. Ooh, we have our front with the 2 C holes and the space for our pickup already cut out. I love this smell. And then bracing. I'm guessing these are for the top. Strings, as the sizes right there. Looks like we have our tail piece. Here are our tuners, box corners, strap buttons, volume knob, bridge piece, our pickup. Kind of like a little mini soap bar, I love it. No fuss, no muss. Everything's already pre-wired. Doesn't look like I could screw this up if I tried. All right, well that's nice, isn't it? Let's get down to business here. This little weight here, that'll keep the whole thing compressed. We'll come back after the glue is dried. All set. Let's take our clamp off here. As you can see, I don't mess around when it comes to clamps. And the next step is going to involve putting the neck brace in. But before we can do that, I was looking over this and noticing that I do have a little bit of squeeze out of glue here, and most especially right here in the neck slot. I'm going to use some chisels here and just kind of gently scrape that glue off the top. One more side, and then we'll give it another try. Let's just see if that did the trick. Ooh. Would you look at that? So now we have a popsicle. We're going to glue this up much like we glued over the other 2 finger joints. So now that we've got it nice and secured here, we're going to secure it this way. What we're going to do now is we are going to add our neck onto the support here. So my hands on the side to line it up. While we're waiting for the neck to glue up, we're going to move on to this step, which involves putting these braces onto the backing here. Bridge is going to sit somewhere right around here, so I'm going to try and get this one as close to the sound holes without showing through as I can. And I think I'm going to get these in about this position, and this one bracing this big open area under the pickup. Hi, buddy. I know. It's a good boy. I need to do some work here, okay? Say hi. So I'll put a piece of paper on here just to protect this from any squeeze out. And put my copy of The Complete Works of Calvin and Hobbes on here, and that's definitely going to be heavy enough to hold that down. So one of the first things I did was I took my cover plate here and I put this on here, squared it up real nice. And then I took a special pencil that I have that I ground down on one side so it gives me a nice even mark, and I'm going to mark here and here, and that shows me exactly where I need to put this. Now we're going to get this plate mounted on, so I'm going to do a few things to make sure it's on there really straight. First things first, I'm going to find the center of this. All right, now we're talking. The next step, according to our instructions here, is going to be to add our fretboard on. So, all right, like everything else in this kit, it fits like a glove. Now here, I add a little bit, just a tiniest sprinkling of salt. Very, very lightly, only a few grains along the length of the board. And what this does is that the two pieces of wood, when they are pressed close together, those grains of salt will push into either side of the board and keep it from sliding around. Put on a set of band clamps just to make sure that this is nice and centered. Certainly seems to be. And we're going to start from this end and apply our clamps. Once again, we're using plexiglass. You can use spare pieces or scraps of wood. That helps to protect your wood so you don't leave big indentations. This is all set up for the next several hours. We're about ready to start all of the shaping, but before that I want to get some of the squeeze out. And it's only been a few hours, so I'm just going to take this chisel here, and as long as the glue hasn't completely set up like overnight, you can just run this right along the edge, and the excess glue comes right up. After a little bit of sanding and a lot of shaping, we have a nice smooth neck here. I also gave the good sanding to the box here, rounded over some of those edges a little bit. So for now, let's just appreciate how cool this thing looks. The way that we install this, make sure we put this over here, is we put the screws through first. Get it in on the one side. And put in our output jack here. And I'm just going to kind of prop this up here. And set this in. So now that we have that hardware installed, we're going to get this soundboard secured permanently, and then we'll be rounding off here, and then we can get down to brass tacks, getting the rest of the hardware on. Now we wait. No gaps, All right, looking amazing. I'm gonna take a few minutes, start working on my design for it. And essentially what I'm gonna do is use some of this wire and this torch to create a burn design. But first, I have a whole lot of taping and protecting to do before I can get started on that. So I finished up, and you can see left a really cool series of patterns on the front, sides, and back. Yeah, that's gonna look really, really nice. Now we're gonna hit this box with a little bit of my chosen stain, and then we'll get right on to continuing with the hardware. So here we are the next day, and I got the stain and the torching, and then 2 coats of poly on the box, and then I also applied some boiled linseed oil to the neck and fretboard, making sure to wipe off the frets really nicely, or else it builds a residue on there. So look at how it just brought out the color in that fretboard. That is so pretty. Before I get started putting some of the hardware on, I did have 1 or 2 things that I wanted to do ahead of that. And one of those is putting in some side dots on the side of the neck here. As you can see, we have fret dots pretty clearly on here, but we need something on the side here, and I'm going to drill some holes and put those in. But first I'm going to take my little punch here and mark each one of these. You can see, maybe you can see some of those dots. I'm not sure how well it's showing up. So first thing I get is my needle nose clippers here. And then, of course, we need some glue. I like to use the very thin, super fast Star Bond. It's basically a luthier's glue. And this is a little trick that I figured out because I was constantly getting spillover. You know, just what I do is I dribble a little bit of the glue onto this piece of plexiglass, and then I just dab the end of my little plastic stick of fret dotting, and I place it at the hole, and I use my needle nose pliers to kind of push it down in there a little bit and clip it off. As you can see now, I've got all the fret dots in there, and because they stick up a little bit, I take my chisel and very carefully just kind of cut through. Now look at that. I switched out some of the hardware. Originally, the base tuners were these really nice silver ones. This is what comes with the kit. But because I wanted to match this guitar with another one that I built recently, I swapped out these tuners for this set of black ones. With very nice volume knob that they include. It's a real heavy duty one right here. I'm going to use this on a different project. for one that looks a little bit more old-timey. And I got this at the Cigar Box guitar meetup that we hold in York every second Saturday of the month. I've been looking for a project to use these on. They're made out of copper piping with a cork shoved through there. So I'm going to use that. I've taken the bridge that they provided and I charred it a little bit. So you can see it's nice and black, but with the grain of the wood still holding out. Corner pieces that they provided are these really cool silver box corners. Once again, if I weren't trying to give this my own look, these are really nice. So I will be using these on another project sometime soon, I am sure. But in the meantime, I'll be using these antique brass corner pieces here. We're in the home stretch here. I have already taken my tuners and set them in place, and then sort of punched a guide hole with my trusty punch here. I've got the strings right here. This is gonna be fun. I got our strings on here and got the bridge lined up, did some intonation tests, and everything seems to be good. Man, these bass strings are strong. So here we are. I'm gonna let these strings settle on their own for a little bit, and then let's plug it in and try it out. Wow, it is just fat. I love it. Well, I added one last little improvement, which was to put a little piece of oak corner molding up here so that my wrist has something to lean on when I'm playing. It's something I did with my regular guitar because I started wearing a hole in my wrist.